from around the globe in ISKCON to create a course to teach and educate on the principles of devotee care. So that we're going to discuss a little bit today. But the devotees at the Manor invited us to come and be active in developing a devotee care office. So it is the idea at the highest levels of leadership within our movement at the GBC level that they feel that as there is a Sankirtan office, a deity department, a finance office, a kitchen office, so many different things that go on in every temple, there also in every temple, every one of our institutions around the globe should have a devotee care office. And it seems a little bit, you would think, why do we need to have an office to look after the devotees? Of course we should look after the devotees. But unfortunately, sometimes we can get carried away with the mission, and we forget about the missionaries. And unfortunately, if we don't look after the missionaries, then there won't be much of a mission. So to that extent, we're going to discuss what is devotee care. So it would be good to, or want to share one quote here. Okay, I think it has changed. This happens with technical things. I'm just going to read it out because I don't think that you can see it. It's changed. So this is a quote from Srila Bhaktivedanta Manor. He says, "Those who think that devotion to God and kindness to the jivas or souls are mutually different from each other and perform accordingly in their life, such persons will not be able to follow devotional culture. Their performances are only a semblance of devotion. Therefore, all types of beneficence to others like kindness, friendliness, forgiveness, charity, respect, and so on are included in bhakti. The actions of respect, friendliness, and kindness are the very form of love and the characteristic portion of bhakti. Charity of medicine, clothes, food, water, etc., shelter during adversity, teaching of academic and spiritual education, etc., are the activities included in devotional culture." This is Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur expressing how he sees and understands Vaishnava Seva and devotee care. It's unfortunate you can't see it because when you read, you don't always capture everything. But the main point is that he doesn't see it that it's just, it's not an exclusive situation. It is inclusive and it covers all areas of one's life. So we see that Krishna, he makes a statement here. I don't know if you can see the bottom of that. But Krishna addressed Arjuna, "My dear Partha, one who claims to be my devotee, he is not so. He's not my devotee. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee." So this is Krishna himself speaking. And what we're trying to do is build the future of ISKCON with care. Why? Because ISKCON is Srila Prabhupada's body. He said that it was non-different from his own self, and therefore it must be handled with care. And because the devotees of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada's devotees, they are very fragile. So therefore they must be handled with care. It's so easy in our own lives, maybe some of you have experienced, I definitely have, that just by simply uttering a few wrong words, you can shatter the heart of another living entity. The tongue is definitely one of the most wicked weapons ever created, because simply with a few harsh words we can have such powerful impact. So another quote from Srila Prabhupada here, that the devotees of Krishna are the most exalted persons on this planet. Srila Prabhupada says that they are better than kings, all of them. So we should always remember that. And like a bumblebee, we should always look for the nectar or the best qualities of a person. So this is the mood of Srila Prabhupada, that we should all become like bumblebees and always look for the nectar, which is not always so easy to see. It's easier to see the faults in another person. Anyone finds that? Am I the only fault finder in the crowd? No? Oh, a few fault finders? Okay. Those of you who are honest. It's definitely easier to find faults in others than to see the good. But when we see the good, it makes a huge difference and impact. So this is a quote that explains that the true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade we do not expect to sit. And there's a story from the Puranas that describes this, of one elderly gentleman who was planting coconut trees. And the king and his retinue came along, and the king stopped and he asked this gentleman, "My dear sir, how old are you?" And he said, "My dear Lord, I am 92 years old." And he kind of chuckled and laughed, and he said, 92. You do realize it will take at least 15 to 20 years for this coconut tree to produce coconuts. And the elderly gentleman said, "My dear Lord, I am not planting this tree for me. I'm planting this for my grandchildren. Because that tree over there supplied me with coconuts my whole life, and that was planted by my grandfather." This is the mood of devotee care. Everything that we do now is laying the ground for the future. We have to understand the future is in our hands. We are making the choices and decisions now that will determine what the future generations of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON will experience. And therefore, we should try to do that with care. Certain types of bamboo, you plant it takes almost 5 years for it to grow. Imagine planting a field and you water it, you look after it, you nourish it, and after a year you get nothing. Next year you think, let me try again. Another year you get nothing. 3 years, nothing. 4 years, nothing. 5 years, almost complete, and finally, a little bamboo shoot appears. And then within a matter of 6 weeks, it grows 80 foot. So this is the same again with this principle of devotee care. That we just keep investing, knowing that it is the right thing. Knowing that it is the dharmic thing. Knowing that if we keep doing it, we're planting and laying the seeds for the future that our children or our children's children will experience an atmosphere of complete love and community. A community of care, where everyone feels responsible. The international mission of devotee care is simple. We want every devotee to be spiritually happy, materially well situated, and positively identifying with ISKCON as a caring society. We've traveled to many places and given the course where we show this quote of the mission statement internationally, and yet have we been to a place where everyone in the room agrees that fully it's a caring society, or fully that they're materially well situated, or even spiritually happy. So actually this is quite a tall order. When we met with the leaders of Bhaktivedanta Manor in January, they wanted to adopt this mission statement, that they wanted to see Bhaktivedanta Manor become a beacon of devotee care for the UK and for the entire world. I think that deserves a round of applause. Some things are easier said than done. But actually, as we began to do service here, we realized that there are already so many ways that the community here at Bhaktivedanta Manor is investing and caring for devotees. So many ways that the temple itself is investing and caring for and looking after devotees. And to that end, I began to realize that although often many devotees don't even know what is available, We just don't know that there are 30 doctors in our movement. We don't know that there are dentists. We don't know that there are people who are looking after ladies, people who are looking after children, people who are doing so many different things in so many different areas, often in isolation. And also there are many devotees who have so much to give, but they don't know where the platform or the forum is to do this. So the idea was to create a space that we could all share, that we could be educated, that we could be engaged, that we could avail of the different types of care that are available. So the question is, what is devotee care? And I'm just going to start the talk, so we only got another 45 minutes. Everyone's sitting tight and happy, okay? That's a joke. You can laugh. It's all right. So, what is devotee care? Well, let's start with what devotee care is not, or not only. When we travel and we ask, what is devotee care? We do a whole thing. We ask everyone to write it up. Often people say devotee care is for sick devotees. Is that devotee care? Yes, of course it is. But it's not the only thing that devotee care. Devotee care is for old devotees. Yes? Any old devotee? Don't raise your hand. I've raised my hand. Mother, you're not old, you're eternal. Hare Krishna. So old devotees or dying devotees. And often people equate devotee care just for sick, elderly, or dying. But devotee care is so much more than this. I keep forgetting to change the slide up here. God, I'm so far behind. You should have told me anyway. Wow, you missed all of this. Okay. Okay, so we're going to discuss the spectrum of care, because this is a very important aspect of understanding what's guiding our inspiration here for care and delivering care. That devotee care, the international team came up with 12 areas of care, starting with spiritual life, health care, which includes physical and mental, marriage, sex, relationships, child rearing, education, career and employment, financial, housing, travel and immigration, consumer and lifestyle, legal and civic, and mediation. Because believe it or not, sometimes devotees disagree with each other. So there has to be some mediation that goes on. This slide describes them a little more in depth. I'll allow you to look at that for just a moment, because some of them might not have made sense. But what you begin to understand from this is through these areas of care is that it's an extremely holistic aspect. It's not just that when someone gets old or sick or is about to die, then all of a sudden we all care. Care is meant to start from the moment the child is conceived in the womb. Srila Prabhupada talked about the different samskars. Garbhodan samskar, that is care. Being conscientious to help to invite a soul into this world. Looking after the child while it's in the womb. We know how greatly Prahlad was benefited by hearing Bhagavatam from Narada Muni within the womb. Care starts from the very beginning, even before conception of life. And it carries on throughout. So care is not something that just happens in one area, but there are so many different areas. And if you look at this, probably some of you in the room will be thinking, yes, I know someone who could use a little care in that area. And it may not just be medical. It may be so many other things. Then there are 12 recipients of care. And these kind of make sense when you go through them. But just as a place to start, ladies, the cows, because cows are very dear to Krishna, cows and bulls. The brahmanas, the children and the youth, the elderly, brahmacharis, grihastas, vanaprasthas, sannyasis, other residents of the temple, leaders and senior devotees. All of these areas, thank you. All of these areas require care. And if you take the 12 areas and you take the 12 recipients and you put them against each other, you're going to have an enormous matrix that is unique and individual to every one of these recipients. Because what a grihasta needs and what the youth need is different. But they still probably have the needs of all 12 areas. Does that make sense? So it is such a personal and unique thing. One devotee we asked him, how would you describe devotee care in one word? And he said, sensitivity. Devotee care means sensitivity. We have to become sensitive to the needs of others. And everyone's needs are different. So this is the different recipients, as you can see, but that makes sense. So I was only allowed 15 minutes, so I think we're going to end here. Thank you very much for your kind attention. We strongly encourage everyone to please get involved in any way that you can. If you feel you have something to offer and give, please speak to us at the Devotee Care Office table, at our Krishna Helpers table. If you feel that you need some help, please come to and speak to us. Please make sure you get any assistance from the BMA. We have a whole team here. Anyone has problems with their teeth, you can become transcendental today. If you just go, there's a whole team here who are willing to open the doors of their dentistry. They have like 12 or 15 different dental practices. They're willing to help devotees in whatever way they can because they want to give back to the community. So this is what we're trying to do, is build a beautiful community of care. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.